It's one of the most controversial health myths of the last 30 years. Do vaccines cause autism? For many parents, it's a terrifying question, and one that has spread fear, doubt, and even outrage across the world. The idea that a life-saving medical tool could somehow trigger a lifelong neurological condition in children feels shocking. And yet, despite countless studies proving otherwise, this myth refuses to go away. So where did it come from? How did a single claim spiral into a global movement of vaccine skepticism? And what does real science say about the relationship between vaccines and autism? Today we'll dive into the origins, the facts, and the overwhelming evidence that separates fear from truth. Because when it comes to public health, misinformation can be deadly, and understanding the science is more important than ever. Let's start with where it all began. A study that shook the world and was later exposed as completely fraudulent. This is the real story behind the myth that vaccines cause autism, and why we all need to stop believing it, before it harms more lives. Let's begin. In 1998, a British doctor named Andrew Wakefield published a paper in a respected medical journal called The Lancet. In that study, he claimed that the MMR vaccine, which protects against measles, mumps, and rubella, could be linked to autism in children. His research was based on just 12 children. He said that some of them showed symptoms of autism shortly after receiving the vaccine. The media ran wild with the story. Headlines screamed, "Vaccines cause autism!" Panic spread through communities. Parents began refusing vaccines. Measles outbreaks surged in the UK and around the world. But something wasn't right. Soon, scientists and journalists started asking hard questions. Where was the data? Why were the sample sizes so small? And why did no one else seem to find the same link? Over the next several years, independent investigations uncovered a shocking truth. Wakefield had manipulated data, misrepresented medical histories, and even taken money from lawyers who wanted to sue vaccine companies. His paper wasn't just flawed, it was fraudulent. In 2010, The Lancet officially retracted the study. That means they admitted it should never have been published. Wakefield lost his medical license. He was banned from practicing medicine in the UK. But by then, the damage had been done. The myth had taken on a life of its own. Celebrity voices like Jenny McCarthy pushed the autism vaccine link on national TV. Anti-vaccine movements exploded across the US and Europe. And despite all the evidence against the claim, many parents still believe it. So let's look at what science actually says. After the Wakefield controversy, scientists began conducting much larger and better-designed studies. The question was clear. Is there any connection between vaccines and autism? The answer, and again, was a resounding no. In 2002, a Danish study followed over 500,000 children. No increased risk of autism was found in vaccinated kids. In 2013, the U.S. Institute of Medicine reviewed dozens of studies. They concluded there was no causal relationship between vaccines and autism. In 2019, another massive Danish study looked at over 650,000 children. Again, no link. Zero. None. Time after time, the data tells the same story. Vaccines do not cause autism. Period. So why do some parents still feel there's a connection? The answer lies in timing and human psychology. Autism symptoms often become noticeable between 12 and 24 months of age. That's the same time children receive several key vaccines, including MMR. When something major happens after a shot, like a child stops speaking or begins acting differently, parents naturally link the two. It's a classic case of correlation, not causation. Just because two events happen close together doesn't mean one caused the other. If a baby gets their first tooth after a bath, we don't blame the bath. But when it comes to health, fear can override logic. Parents want answers, and sometimes a target to blame. Sadly, that target became vaccines, even though the science says otherwise. Autism is a complex neurological condition that scientists are still trying to fully understand. But one thing is clear. It's not caused by vaccines. Research shows that autism likely develops from a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Some people may be born with a higher risk due to their DNA. Other unknown influences during pregnancy or early development may also play a role. But none of the credible studies point to vaccines as a factor. In fact, some studies have looked specifically for anything linking vaccines to autism and consistently come up empty. It's not just that vaccines are probably safe. They are proven to be safe through the most rigorous testing in medical science. No other public health tool is as carefully studied. So why does the myth still linger? In the age of social media, fear spreads faster than facts. One emotional story from a parent can go viral in minutes. Meanwhile, scientific evidence, with its complex language and cautious conclusions, gets ignored. Anti-vaccine content online is often dramatic, emotional, and filled with conspiracy theories. It plays on parental guilt, anxiety, and mistrust. And once someone is convinced, it's hard to change their mind. Confirmation bias kicks in. People seek out evidence that supports their fears and ignore anything that challenges them. Even when Wakefield's fraud was exposed, many refused to believe it. The myth became part of a belief system. And once that happens, facts alone aren't enough. Misinformation about vaccines doesn't just confuse people, it kills. Because of vaccine fear, deadly diseases like measles have returned in places where they were once eliminated. Children suffer, hospitals get overwhelmed, and entire communities are put at risk. Vaccines save millions of lives every year. They are one of humanity's greatest medical achievements. And the idea that they cause autism is not just wrong, it's dangerous. It's time we stop giving this myth oxygen and start trusting the mountains of real evidence. Vaccines don't cause autism. They protect us. They protect our children, and they deserve our trust.